Hi, this is Mark News from Plant Talk Radio. Thanks for subscribing and listening to our podcast, Your Gardening Questions from Plant Talk Radio. To keep this podcast free, we're partnering with Stoke Seeds. Pre-plan your indoor seed starting program today with the help of Stoke's 2018 Gardening Guide and their online articles. Whether you're adding texture through foliage, choosing a new variety for a splash of color, developing an existing garden, or starting from scratch, Stoke Seeds has some great catalog and online resources to help you through the process. More than just a listing of vegetable and flower seeds, the Stoke Seeds website is a complete resource center with valuable information on seed starting, planting, and harvesting, plus all the gardening accessories you need to make your garden the envy of the neighborhood. Get growing with Stokes. Now, today's question. Fred, I know that we were talking earlier and you said that this is not a time to be fertilizing.
No, Mark, it isn't. Now, would it harm? Probably not. Well, let's just say probably not. But the reason for not fertilizing now is that growth, due to the length of day, the intensity of light, and so on, right now, especially on indoor plants, they're not in a growth state. They are maybe some level of dormancy. Some of the tropicals go dormant different than our outdoor plants here and so on. But to put fertilizer in the water at this point in time would tend to stimulate growth. Then, with my having said several times that the growth and length of a cell in a stem is reduced by light. More intense light, the smaller the cell. Now, with that being the factor in general, if we allow for fertilizer and a little bit more water to cause those cells to grow longer, there isn't enough light to stop that process or slow it. And you can make a plant get tall and leggy. It's one of the things that happens, for example, with amaryllis and saved over hyacinth and things like that. When you can dry them down pretty good, but at the same time, amaryllis will frequently come up, flower beautifully, then follows the strap-like foliage. And if you encourage that growth, the straps get longer, flop over more. They'll usually be a little lighter green. The plant becomes ungainly in appearance and so on. So where it would, if you wish to extend the amaryllis and not let them totally dry down, then let's just say back off totally on fertilizer, reduce the amount of water down to simply a sufficient supply to keep them going. And from there, we'll jump over then to the tropical plants, the pothos that we're talking about. I could make that that neglected plant grow a whole lot faster than it does in the wintertime, but it would be too fast. The inner nodes between, the area between leaves would be longer. The leaves might be bigger and floppier. The plant would simply be growing in what is an abnormal circumstance. So, sustaining a plant, and I'm always in favor. I'm jumping thoughts on you here, but I'm always in favor of just simply sustaining plants indoors. And even the permanent plants that you would have in permanent planters in your home, whatever. You're just trying to keep them in good shape for the purpose of being attractive. And as such, you don't want to push the growth. You just want to sustain significant growth. Now, for me to not have not have fertilized that poor plant for, I think, 19 or 20 years is, I'm just pressing a point, and I'm doing it to see what happens. There must be enough nitrogen in the air from rainstorms in the summertime to be absorbed by the plant in the water it gets naturally, because it just grows like crazy in the summertime. Then in the winter, back down again. So that's the premise behind fertilizing at this point. I wouldn't do any fertilizing on any indoor plant until mid to late March, because by then the daylight coming in the window is more intense. It's a longer day. You can light from indoors and so on, and start bringing the plants on so that by the middle of May, they're really moving on when you put them out. Greenhouses are run pretty much that way, where a good greenhouse manager is a marvel. They can walk into the greenhouse and tell you what to do that day just by the feel in the back of their neck. So whether we get that good at home or not is another story.
Thanks again for listening to the podcast. Remember, pre-plan your indoor seed starting program with the help of Stokes Gardening Guide and their online resources. And request your free catalog while you're online. For the best selection of vegetable, flower, and herb seeds available, go to stokeseeds.com. Cultivating successful growers for generations.